On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Dark Superstition by Gatecreeper. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like to talk about it. Today, we're talking about a pretty new death metal album from Gatecreeper, which is a great band from Arizona. From Phoenix, Arizona.
Which I've been told recently is basically, it's always been the devil's asshole. But it's truly living up to that.
Phoenix,
in the last couple of weeks. It is hotter than shit.
I mean, I feel like they kind of screwed themselves when they named the city Phoenix. You know, a bird that's famous for being on fire.
Right.
That's maybe that's why they named the city Phoenix.
Exactly.
Because it's so fucking hot there.
Yeah, it's going to catch fire. And then hopefully when it inevitably all burns to the ground,
it will rise again from the ashes.
Exactly.
But in order to rise from the ashes, you have to burn. So it's a weird prophecy to set for yourself. It's like imagine someone being like, I will rise from the ashes, and they're not going through anything right now. There's like their life is good, but they're just like, I will rise from the ashes. The ashes of what? The fire.
Yeah.
Are you going to burn your house down? Are you about to commit? Are you about to commit insurance fraud?
Do we need to call somebody?
Are you gonna burn your house down and try to claim the insurance? How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
It's good. It's good. You're in your Russian mobster getup right now.
I'm in my Russian mob. You even put the flat cap on for you because you were complaining about me.
Well, you were wearing all your Adidas stuff, and then you showed up with a baseball hat on. I just feel like it's wrong.
You need to have the flat cap on.
It has to be the flat cap if you're wearing the getup.
I got halfway here, and I'm listening to the album for this week again. Banger, by the way.
Yes.
And I looked down at my miles, my new vehicle that I got.
Yeah.
And I noticed, and I had to get out my phone. I took a video of it. I'm going to have to do some editing on it.
Okay.
But I noticed that the number of miles I have on the vehicle total so far at that time were 665 miles.
Okay.
So I had to get video ready.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm going to put some King Diamond over it.
Nice.
As soon as it flips over.
To 666.
Which it did by the lamplighter.
Or it could be King Diamond, or you could have it be Number of the Beast.
That's,
And that, like, the moment it ticks over, have it line up with the chorus of 666.
Right.
The number of the beast.
Right. Which I don't know why I didn't think of doing it, because I started singing that as soon as it did that. And here's another fun part is that 2 miles later, I'm singing 668. The neighbor of the beast. Hell and fire. We swore to call police.
You futzed with the headphone cable, and now it's all fucky. Okay, no, it's good now. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. I need to get a new splitter.
You do.
I've needed a new splitter since the moment I got that one, because it's always been bad.
It's been terrible.
It's never been good.
So here's what you can do. To-do list for at some point, over the next week. Get a splitter. And then have your door buzzer fixed.
No. See, I feel like the buzzer, it's never worked. So I feel like I should leave that the way it was.
But you could improve your situation.
No. I'll just put that on the list of things that I need to fix and call someone about that.
You never will.
Call someone about.
Yeah.
Next to my fucking gun. I don't know.
Did we talk about it here?
I didn't talk about actually getting it. I think I talked about wanting to get it. So there's a I bought a gun. I bought a revolver.
Right.
I've been very, as longtime listeners of the podcast might remember, I've been something of a gun nut for most of my life.
Right.
I guess
You've been a psychopath this entire time.
I've been a complete and total psychopath.
Right.
And now I'm going to try and permanently fix the headphone cable. Not permanently, but at least for the rest of the night.
Let's give it a good fix.
All right. So now don't touch it. Anyway. But I've been very interested in guns. To call myself a gun nut is probably a bit of a misnomer, because when you say gun nut, you usually think of like Bert from Tremors, where they have the basement that's full of guns. And it's like, no, I just find them interesting. I've played a lot of video games in my life, so I have like an encyclopedic knowledge of firearms. I find them mechanically interesting, and they're just. I think they're neat.
My 13-year-old has the same thing going, by the way.
I think a lot of men, my young men and going up to and a bit beyond my age, kind of do just from having played video games that have guns in them for most of their life.
Right. I will make a reference to a weapon, and then my 13-year-old will correct me and give me the proper specifics, the specs on what the thing I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's something that is classically appealing to a certain kind of guy, I guess. But in any case, I've been interested in firearms for a long time. So, but I've never bought one with my own money. Like all of the guns that are technically speaking mine have been bought for me by my parents. When I was a teenager, for the most part, like guns to go hunting with my dad. So, I have a rifle for deer hunting. I have a shotgun for pheasant hunting. I have a 22. That's technically mine, although for most of the time that has been theoretically mine. It's mostly been my dad using it because he likes it better than his 22, because it's also way newer and semi-automatic. He also won that in a golf tournament and came home and was like, here's a 22 for you, even though it's really like he didn't buy it for me. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I bought myself a revolver.
A Rhino.
Yeah, a Chiappa Rhino and 357 Magnum. They are, in my opinion, very interesting, very neat revolvers. They're one of the cooler looking, revolvers on the market right now. They're very unconventional in a number of ways. Some people think they're horrendously ugly. I think they're very cool and futuristic looking. Right. But I can definitely, it's one of those things that is so ugly that it's cool looking. Right. But like the thing that makes them unconventional is that the barrel is on the bottom. It fires from the bottom cylinder out of the 6 cylinders instead of the top one, which is the way that almost every other revolver ever made works, other than like 3. So I found, I didn't find one in a gun shop nearby, but I went to go talk. I went looking, talked to the people at one of the gun shops nearby, and had them order one for me from one of their distributors, and saved a little bit of money on it compared to if I had just straight up bought it online. Right. Saved some money on it. Went and got it last week on Monday. Didn't really have time to go to their gun range to shoot it until Saturday. I got some snap caps is what they're called, which are just dummy cartridges with a hard plastic primer that makes sure you don't damage the firing pin. So you can dry fire it and practice with the trigger, and perfectly safe and all that. Was doing that, throughout the week. Just making sure that I kind of knew how order of operations, how everything worked before I took it to the gun range. Take it to the gun range on Saturday. Shoot some ammo through it. I shoot some 357 through it. I shoot some 38 through it. And somewhere between round 24 and 36, seemingly, something on the inside of the gun, specifically related to the cylinder release mechanism, seriously fucked up. And so now, in order to open the cylinder to put more bullets in the gun, you have to depress the cylinder release lever with a extreme amount of force. And you have to depress it all the way, and to get it all the way down, you really, really, really have to push on that thing. My thumb only just yesterday stopped hurting.
Really?
My hand has been sore all week. But like, I don't know what fucked up. I don't know if something broke, if something got knocked out of place. I took it home and like took the grip off to try and lubricate the internals, because there's some holes on the like underneath the grip, but in the side plate, the actual like metal of the gun, the case. Tried to lubricate the internals to see if that would do anything. Didn't make a difference. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to have to take the side plate off, which in the user manual, the manufacturer recommends against taking the side plate off, entirely because they are extremely complicated guns. Like any revolver is pretty complicated. Like as far as guns that are still being manufactured, and like most guns are actually pretty simple when it comes down to it. Revolvers are and always have been on the more complicated end of firearms, despite having a reputation of being kind of an old-timey sort of gun. They're actually remarkably complicated on the inside. And rhinos are leaps and bounds more complicated than other revolvers because of the unique way that they're built. So I went to go take the side plate off, and I was like, fuck it. You know, if I got to stare at a diagram for the way all these parts connect for 3 hours, I'll do it. I just want to see what's wrong with it. Well, I never got to see what was wrong with it, because the last of the 4 screws I needed to remove stripped. It just stripped, and I can't get the screw out. So now, seemingly, I haven't really looked into it, but seemingly to even find out what is wrong with it, I will probably have to take it to a gunsmith. I haven't called like Chiappa USA or like their American office to talk to like their customer service to see if maybe I should just send it to them, or if I should figure out what's broken for it. Like, I don't know exactly what the order of operations is yet, because I've just been miffed. And when I'm pissed off about something, sometimes I just need to let that cool for like a week or two before I actually do something about it. If it's not like something vital that needs to be addressed immediately, it's just like, you know, oh, this can wait. You
don't want to approach it with a hot head.
Yeah. So and it's not even that. It's mostly just me being pissy, which I guess is me having a hot head about it. But like, I'm never going to be like upset with people on customer service. But I don't know. I just want to put some distance on it. I don't know. I don't understand myself sometimes, but it's a thing that I know. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with it. I would love to have been able to just take the last screw out and at the very least be able to identify the problem, but no, can't do that. And so it like immediately, this expensive thing that I bought, immediately breaking in some way, just made me feel like the biggest fucking idiot in the world. Because like you spent how much goddamn money on this thing only for it to break immediately, you moron. This thing that you didn't need. And even if you did need a revolver, which very few people actually need a gun. But anyway, like even if I really, really wanted, and I did, that's why I bought it, like I really wanted it. But like if all you wanted was a gun, you could have bought something significantly cheaper. Maybe not significantly, but fairly cheaper. That does more or less the same thing. That is also simpler, easier to fix, more understood by more like gunsmiths and that sort of thing that are around here. Like, I don't know. Like I could have bought a Colt Anaconda for like $400 less.
A Colt and a what?
Anaconda.
What's a conda?
Anaconda. Like I hate you. I hate you. You son of a bitch. You piece of shit.
You could have. I love it when you take it too far. I'm going to stab you in the throat.
I'd shoot you, but my gun's broken.
You could have got just got a Saturday Night Special.
Nah.
Those run for what, $200?
I don't know.
At most?
No. I mean I wanted the whole reason I wanted the Rhino is just because they're unique. They're different. They're like the firearms that I tend to consider cool and interesting are usually ones that are a bit weird and have, some idiosyncrasies to them that make them interesting. And that's what I attracted me to this gun. Is just like, oh, this is really cool looking. It's really unique. It's different. Like that would be fun to have. It's different than every single other revolver that you can buy right now.
And I imagine it's different than most of the other Rhinos in that it's broken.
Yeah. Well,
or is
as
this
I
an
have
issue?
found this, I haven't been able to find anyone else that had this specific issue. Before I bought it, I did some looking into it, and it seemed like most of the issues, at the time anyway, the looking that I did, like a lot of the issues people had with them seemed to have been in the first, 5 years that they were manufactured, in like the 2010s. And that since that time, the Chiappa had addressed most of the issues with the guns, and they were working, like newer manufactured ones were working better. And then after I had this problem and I did some more Googling, only then does Google start giving me fucking results showing me that oh, there are still a lot of people who are having problems with these guns. And that pissed me off. It's like, why didn't you give me these fucking results before? I guess I didn't type in the right thing. It was I read a number of reviews where people had said oh, these are in good shape now. If you're interested in this, you should get one. That's, I don't know. Hopefully, customer service can help me out. I need to check on warranty info and that sort of thing to see if I'm covered in that way. And that if it is under warranty, it still might be months before it can get fixed, depending upon what needs to happen with it, because Chiappa is located in Italy.
Right.
So
hopefully you didn't void the warranty by trying to take the plate off.
Yeah, I don't know. I very well might have. Who the fuck knows? I could know, but as I said, I'm giving it a while. Anyway, that's my whole soapbox about this useless hunk of steel and aluminum that I bought. At least it's useless for now. I mean, hey, if you can get the cylinder open, it does still shoot bullets. But getting the cylinder open is a real doozy.
Do you have bullets in it right now?
No. Oh. I made an effort at the very least to get it. Oh, that's part of why my thumb hurt so fucking much.
Yeah.
Is because I made an effort to get it open to take the, I had shot all of them, so they were all empty, but I still figured it would be best to not have spent brass just sitting in the gun.
Right.
But yeah, that's been a thing. I've been playing a lot of Valheim lately.
Oh, nice.
They have a new update that came out. And so me and some of my friends have been playing that, and that's been fun.
I wish I could do that. I wish that was a thing I could do.
What do you mean?
Play in game sessions where there were other people.
I mean, you do that technically with your son sometimes.
Very rarely. I mean, if it's just he and I, and then if his friends come in, then as soon as his friends are there, it's a countdown to dad going,
I'll see you later.
See you later, because his friends are screechy and weird.
Because they're 13.
Yeah.
And that's just how 13-year-old boys are.
Right.
It's just screechy and weird.
Screechy and weird.
I love what John Mulaney says about 13-year-olds.
The worst people.
The worst human beings on the earth. Terrifying.
If I'm walking down the street and I catch up to a group of 8th graders, I will cross the street.
Yep. If I see them coming the other direction, got to avoid them at all costs.
You know, it's funny. I think he was quoting the stand-up, but my 13-year-old did say to me, look at that man. He has high feminine hips.
He has feminine hips. I'm sensitive about that. I think like early teens is a really dangerous time, I think, because they have developed the intellectual capabilities and linguistic capabilities to identify and articulate things that will be really hurtful that they could say. But they don't quite yet have, many of them don't quite yet have the emotional maturity to recognize when they shouldn't say something.
Right.
Some people never develop that.
Right.
But I think that's part of why there's a lot of teenagers that are just unpleasant. Is because that just generally tends to be the case for teenagers, of just like they can figure out what you don't like about you,
right? But
they haven't quite figured out that maybe they shouldn't say it.
You know, and there are so many adults, and here's the weird thing, is that society has changed in the last number of years.
Society has changed.
And there used to be a stigma about, you know, being a socially stunted dick.
Sure.
There used to be a thing where people were aware of, I shouldn't say these things. I'm thinking these things.
Yeah.
I'd like to say these things, but I probably shouldn't. Well, that stigma has been taken away.
Now being an asshole is, depending upon the community, celebrated.
Right. And being a completely stupid asshole, too. I mean, saying things that are based in nothing.
I'm an idiot and I'm proud.
Right.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I don't know. I feel like so many conversations had about various issues end with, no, I don't know.
Yep.
What else is there to say and do? I don't know.
I've decided, though, at my night job, I'm going to, because I've always had this tendency to want to be a good like servant. I'm doing a service industry job.
Yes.
You know, dealing blackjack and calling bingo. And
you want people to have a good time.
I want people to have a good time, but I think I'm going to start just providing myself a good time.
Just be a little bit of an asshole to the people who deserve it.
Yeah. Because I used to work with this woman named Amanda. And she was amazing. She was a very pretty girl. She had a very nice face. And she was very articulate. And she was the meanest asshole I've ever met. Ever in my entire... Yeah, she like, we're going to start bingo here in a little bit. I'm going to go crop dust the crowd. She'd go fart all around the bar and then come back. And then people would come up, want to play blackjack. She'd be like, would you fucks like to play blackjack? Excuse me? Would you folks like to play blackjack?
Interesting.
Yeah.
You fucking people.
You fucking assholes.
Something about that reminded me of like in American Psycho.
Yeah.
When Patrick Bateman starts like saying like calling like doing that sort of thing under his breath. And then people either entirely don't hear him because they're all just as vapid as he is.
Yeah.
Or he's able to spin it. Like that time he's like, I'm into, what did he say? It's like, I'm into murders and I can't remember exactly, but then he switches it to mergers and acquisitions.
Murders and acquisitions.
It's been a while since I've watched American Psycho.
I remember being a little bit tough to watch.
It is. It's a bit tough to watch for sure.
Right.
American Psycho is one of those movies where if you read reviews at the time, it seems very clear that a lot of critics really missed the point of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they were acting like it somehow celebrated being a serial killer. And it's like, no, the point that's being made is that these, like, all these vapid yuppies are just awful human beings.
Right.
And the only thing that makes this guy different is that he's a fucking serial killer.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's only like half a step ahead of the rest of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the other ones are just one kind of bad day away from being
Patrick Bateman.
from being Christian Bale.
From being Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite tidbits about that movie, which is that Christian Bale was not quite sure like what his inspiration for the character was going to be, other than like, you know, what was on the page, because it had been a book beforehand.
Right.
And like he wasn't quite sure what he wanted the mannerisms to be like, and then he apparently saw Tom Cruise on David Letterman and was like, oh, there it is. and there it is.
Why was he on David Letterman?
Tom Cruise?
Yeah, I mean, how did Dave feel about that? That he tackled him? Or?
Like Oprah's couch, I have to imagine. Yeah. In order to find out how David Letterman felt in that moment, you would have to talk to Oprah's couch.
I think I actually stole that joke from Robin Williams. Because Robin Williams and Nathan Lane, I can't remember what they were in together at the time, but they were talking to Oprah.
Uh-huh.
And Nathan said something about, you know, I did this and this and this, and now I'm on Oprah. And Robin went, you're near Oprah.
What's Oprah been up to lately?
I don't know. She hasn't called.
Just been rich.
Just being rich.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So was it today that they had the list of like in our prep material at work? They had the list of like most wealthiest self-made women. I think Oprah was on there. That might have been yesterday.
May have been yesterday.
Can't remember how much she's worth. I want to say it was like $3.3 billion or some shit.
You know, in the grand scheme of things, there are no self-made people.
Sure, yeah.
I mean,
that money all belongs to someone else at some point.
You had to step on some necks to get there.
For sure.
They made you by their spine being a rung in your ladder.
A crunchy piece of the ladder.
Yeah.
Well, crunching spines on your way up the ladder sure sounds like something from a death metal song.
Hey,
segue.
Yes.
So Dark Superstition by Gatecreeper is their third full-length album since 2013, which feels like kind of a slow pace.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean,
it's 11 years.
Some bands are, you know, I guess don't quite put out the same number of albums as others, I guess.
Right.
But Gatecreeper is a band from Phoenix, Arizona. They've been around since 2013.
Yes.
Currently made up of Chase Mason on vocals and occasionally plays guitar. I don't know on how many of these tracks he does, but Eric Wagner also on guitars, Matt Arbolo on drums, Israel Garza on guitars, and Alexander Brown on bass. So yeah, this is their third full-length album. Gatecreeper is a band that we've talked about before. I'm trying to remember if we talked about Deserted or Sonoran Deprivation. I can't remember. I know we talked about the EP that they put out in 2020, which was oh no,
I don't remember the name of it.
I've forgotten it. What was the name? Spotify, tell me. The name is An Unexpected Reality. That was 2021 is when that came out.
Gotcha.
Rather than 2020. But like before that EP had come out, this was a band that I wasn't like super keen on. Like I've always thought like, okay, you know, they're doing their thing and they do it well. They're playing, you know, some really like classic sounding old school death metal that leans really heavily into like the kind of the Stockholm sound of like Swedish death metal. Really, really heavy use of HM2 guitar pedals, really like crispy vocals.
They really EQ the guitars just right.
Yeah. The production on this is gorgeous, done by Kurt Ballou, engineer, producer, and lead guitarist for Converge, which is a band that we both are extremely fond of.
Yes.
But anyway, like their albums before this, I hadn't been super keen on, and then I mentioned this at the end of last week's episode about how like that EP sort of unlocked something in my brain of like learning that they were capable of doing other stuff that is more traditionally appealing to me. That EP consisted of a lot of tracks that leaned way more into like grindcore territory, and then one track that was this massive like death doom epic,
which there is kind of one on here.
Yeah, there's definitely one on here as well. They occasionally lean into a little bit more of that doom side, and that song on that EP included a fair bit more melody, which they continued to incorporate on here. This is basically like, I mean, of course, you have the guitar pedals, which are classic Stockholm sound.
Yes.
But then this is practically a melodic death metal album in a lot of ways.
So it's sort of, there's a lot of death and roll here.
Yeah.
You have to admit there's a bit, but you're right. It's kind of a combination of the two Swedish cities.
The Swedish sides mixed also with what I would consider, I think they're very emblematic of like the Southwest death metal sound, because in the US we kind of have two main scenes of death metal. Today it's not really as significant maybe as it once was. But the two bigger scenes, you have like Florida death metal, and then you have like Southwest death metal,
and then Idaho death metal.
Sure.
No, I just made that up.
But like something about their sound, just if maybe it's just because I know they're from Arizona, I know they're from the Southwest, and they use a lot of desert iconography in all their album covers, but something feels like dry and hot and like you're out in the desert. I don't know. There's just there's an atmosphere about it, I guess. But it's a fusion of a lot of classic death metal elements sort of present on this album, and I found it very, very enjoyable. There's a lot of riffs. There's a lot of songs on here with riffs that just the first time I listened to it, I feel like I had the stank face on so much. It was just like, ooh.
I caught myself doing the frowny chicken a lot.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, bobbing your head from side to side with that
stank face
that
on.
really big frown. Yeah. There's just something about hearing a really nasty riff that just makes your face just sort of contort a little bit. You want to scrunch your nose up and get your lips up high, just ooh. There's a lot of really gnarly riffs on here that is accentuated by their choice in production equipment. I think
you almost went full Hetfield there for a moment. Just saying, ooh, yeah.
I think Kurt Ballou was kind of a perfect choice to produce this album. I don't know if he's produced their previous albums before this. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into that. But like he's as a engineer and producer is someone who has on many different albums in the past produced some really, really just gnarly sounding records that managed to capture a more old school type of sound in a really high fidelity environment. Is the way I would describe his sort of production style. There's a Nails album, their second album, that's one of the most like disgustingly just fuzzy and gnarly things I've ever heard. And that's largely due to him.
I want to say the previous Gatecreeper album was produced by King Louie. I think it was
King Louie?
King Louie, or it was Ka. I can't remember. It's one of the two.
What about some other Jungle Book characters?
Mowgli.
Name 3 other Jungle Book characters. Everyone's favorite improv bit.
Sorry.
Yes, because Kurt Baloo's last name, you see, is like the bear from the Jungle Book.
Baloo.
Remember the Jungle Book, everybody? I guess Disney did do one of those quote unquote live action. I guess there was at least one real live human being in that movie.
Yes,
as Mowgli. That's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah,
is whenever someone refers to that fucking Lion King movie as being live action, even though it's 100% CG. There's not a single real live animal in that entire fucking movie.
Right.
It's not live action. It just looks realistic. Anyway,
it's photorealistic is what it is.
Sure. Which I don't understand why they bothered. The original Lion King is fine.
All right. It didn't need an update.
It didn't need, like, the excuse with all the other Disney live action movies is they've got real actors in them and whatnot. How is this any different other than it just I guess it gave a lot of CG artists a job that they weren't paid enough for.
Right.
For a few months. Anyway. This album slap?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yes. Boy howdy does it slap. Indeed. Looking up scores, this album has reviewed pretty well. It out of 7 reviews that I was able to find that had scores attached to them came out to 81.5, which is pretty good for an album that is considered widely to be pretty good. That normally is about where they end up. What's your favorite song on the album?
God. That's kind of tough.
Figure it out.
I mean, The Black Curtain's a great song.
Black Curtain is really good.
I really like the song Flesh Habit.
Sure.
Caught in the Treads is really good.
Caught in the Treads is
fantastic.
That song is so fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
That also, I love the album art for that single.
Oh, really?
The first single that they released off this album a few months ago was Caught in the Treads. And the art on the cover art for that single looks like it could have been lifted straight out of late 90s Warhammer 40K. Like it's awesome looking.
But the of course the sort of doom metal of course Tears Fall from the Sky.
Yeah. The closer there, Tears Fall from the Sky. My favorite song I know is A Chilling Aura.
A Chilling Aura, great song.
One of the things that I noticed about that song is, other than a couple of parts where there's like some breakdowns in there, some heavier, slower, kind of more chuggy parts. But outside of those, if you added a violin, it would be a Panopticon song. Like if you added some strings, if you went
maybe
more
a banjo,
if you went more maximalist with that and added some classical arrangement to that, it would be a Panopticon song. I just, and maybe that's probably a decent part of the reason why I like it so much,
right?
Because it just feels very different for them, even considering the rest of this album, which is much more forward with its melody than almost anything that they've released before. In the past, I have described them as being kind of a meat and potatoes death metal band. That's not to say that they're bad. Those are two of my favorite things.
Yeah, dude,
I love meat and potatoes.
Those are the staples of your diet.
That's most of my diet is meat and potatoes.
Right.
So I enjoy it, but it's like it's it's not an amazing gourmet meal. This got closer to those the gourmet stuff.
Gore. It put the gore in gourmet.
Yes, I put the gore in gourmet.
Yeah.
It's like that. What's that? Ralph Fiennes movie that came out last year. Anya Taylor-Joy. Was that
Ralph Fiennes movie from last
where
year?
he's like a chef and there's
Oh yeah, right. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
and systematically kill everyone.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Becomes like a game.
I don't remember what the name of that movie was, but anyway.
That was a good one. I actually saw it, but I don't remember what the name of it was either.
They should have the advertisement should have been he puts the gore in gourmet.
RALPHF.
I suppose they wouldn't have put that. I think some of the trailers sort of gave away a little bit of what the twist of the movie was supposed to be, which is that he's killing everybody.
What the hell was it? The hell was the name of that freaking movie? People are yelling at us right now.
Yeah, I know. This happens every week.
It does.
we try to think of a pop culture reference that we both should know, and it just does not come to mind.
I don't fucking know. It's The Menu.
The Menu.
Yeah,
okay.
The Menu.
There we go.
From 2022.
It was 2022.
Yeah.
I thought it was last year sometime.
Right.
Maybe it was late 2022. I don't know.
Maybe.
My favorite song is A Chilling Aura. Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. Caught in the Treads is
fantastic,
fucking awesome. The opening, the rest of the song is great too, but the opening of Oblivion is also ooh. There's just so it's fucking blistering, and I like Tears Fall from the Sky. Mm-hmm. I feel like it outstays its welcome a little bit. It gets a little boring. Mm-hmm. There needed to be something else happening in the last half. They needed to add like another layer of something. There needed to be some extra little bit going on there. They needed a violin.
Sure.
They needed someone
pedal
playing.
Steel.
Yeah, someone playing some pedal steel, or all metal could be improved, accompanied by pedal steel.
You know, when you said I like the song Oblivion, I'm like, how did that one go? My brain automatically went bing doom down. Yeah. Bing doom boom boom.
Now I want to listen to Mastodon. Yeah. It's been a bit since I've listened to Crack the Sky.
Yeah.
It's been a healthy bit. Mm-hmm. Which is, I mean, it's probably good, because the way that I tend to listen to albums is I'm like, I love this. This is the best thing ever. I'm going to listen to it till I hate it.
Then you hate it and you never want to listen to it again.
Exactly. And it takes a couple years before I'm like, I shall listen to it again. You know, it shall feel fresh.
There's actually an album. It's not a metal album, but it's a very good album that I listen to constantly when my little brother passed away.
Uh-huh.
Because that album was giving me comfort, like it was holding my hand and had his arm around my shoulder. I listened to it like that entire month, nonstop.
Just can't do it.
I just can't do it anymore. And what sucks is we'd like to talk about it on this podcast.
Which album was it?
The Claypool Lennon. Delirium.
Yeah, I can't remember which.
South of the Path or whatever.
Yeah, one of those. There's an album like that for me, which is there is / was a side project called Times of Grace that was at the time the former vocalist for Killswitch Engage and their guitarist. They had an album that was out, and I was listening to it a lot while my dad was going through like chemo and stuff, and so that things were different and weird for a while that summer. And now whenever I listen to it, I get reminded of that, and it's like it wasn't a weird terribly bad time. That's like, my dad's alive and he's doing well.
Exactly.
Like, but it still brings up some weird memories and kind of dredges up some emotions from that time.
There was uncertainty at the time.
Yeah, it was, it was strange, but I don't know. That's music. As memories attach themselves to things, and
they do.
Then they can't get unattached. You are furiously looking for something.
Yeah,
a light bulb went off in your head. And he's cracking the case wide open, folks.
Because I hadn't quite decided what I wanted to bring.
What you wanted to listen to
for next week.
You had that moment where if this were a detective movie, you would have looked at me and been like, "Say that again."
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Yeah.
No, not that thing. The other thing. So what? Before we get to what you want to listen to next week, let's give a medal to this album like Maskanada to Chewbacca. What do you say?
Gold.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this is a gold. We don't usually qualify our golds. I would call this like a low gold.
Low gold?
This, it's gold. I really enjoy this album.
And I want to listen to it again.
I want to listen to it again, but it's not like the goldiest gold that ever golded. But what do you want to listen to next week?
I would like to go back into the 1980s.
Okay.
1987, to be more specific.
Okay.
I'd like to listen to the album Terrible Certainty.
Oh, by whomst?
I'm doing it again. I'm bringing another Teutonic Big Four.
Okay.
This time Creator.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if we listened to any Creator.
We did.
Before.
We listened to Extreme Aggression.
Yeah.
Their 1989 album. This would be the prior to that.
Well, we will listen to that next week. Until you hear from us, then why don't you go ahead and follow our pages on social media, either on Facebook or the website formerly known as Twitter, or you could go ahead and follow our subscribe to our feed on whatever podcast service you're using to listen to us right now.
Follow our feed.
Thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ. Congratulations.